Hello, good evening. Happy 4th of July. Happy 4th of July to those of you who are listening to me, members of the St. Luke Church. Once again, I'm more than excited to share with you our announcements and a very brief overview of our Sunday school lesson because as it turns out, tomorrow's sermon that you don't want to miss is going to come from the very same passage. Again, you do not want to miss tomorrow's service. You just don't want to miss it on either one of the platforms. So let's go ahead and look at where we are and what it is that we have to share with you on this evening. Let's go ahead there. When we return, we're in the process, we commissioned an artist that is putting together this mural, and it's going to be beautiful and a wonderful addition to our sanctuary. I want to thank the person that is doing that. We'll talk more about it later, but this is going to be a beautiful addition to the sanctuary as well. So I want to make sure that you guys are aware that we're doing so many different things, but we're also making your safety is our number one priority. But I just believe also that we want to take this time also to beautify the sanctuary and to beautify the building. There's some other things that are going on. Those of you who pass through and come by, you're able to see that being done as well. Tomorrow morning on Facebook Live, tomorrow morning at 10:30 on YouTube Live, our live stream. Now, I know that there have been some audio problems with the YouTube live stream. However, we have that resolved now. I believe we do. Some of that had to do with the internet connection and had to do with some equipment failures, but that is not going to be the case on tomorrow. We have worked hard and worked diligently. I want you to tune in for about 45 minutes early in the morning so that you will get the full experience of the sound and the preaching and the visual as well. So make sure that you tune in on either Facebook Live or the YouTube live stream. We'll go live in the morning at about 10:25, and we hope to have you finished by 11:15 there. Thank you so very, very much for that. Also, thank you, those of you who have been giving. Appreciate your giving and your faithfulness toward giving as well. Make sure that you know the familiar giving methods there, and also just continue to give at this time of crisis. God is still blessing us. God is still blessing you. So please make sure that you continue to do that. Also, I have a few announcements. The virtual annual conference will be held on Tuesday, July the 7th at 2 p.m. There will be a conference call, and these are the numbers. The number to call in, the number is 1-605-313-4197. The access code is 783-334. The very first thing I want you to do when you call in is to make sure that you mute your telephone. Make sure that you mute your telephone. And the delegates, Ms. Broussard, Maya, and Ms. Bradford, I will have you your minutes for you to follow along. And others of you, I will send you a copy of the program as well. So this is going to be something new, but this is the information. Those of you who might want to dial in at some point just to see what is going on. In fact, I will send out a text probably about 1 o'clock. Then I'll send out another one as the meeting progresses to let people know what is going on as well, especially the reading of the appointments. We're going to talk about that. Also, the Hall of Fame Empowerment Banquet will be July the 12th. That's next Sunday at 4 p.m. on Zoom. I will send you that information. And of course, our honoree will be, one of the honoree from St. Luke will be Dr. Larry Pennell. I want to make sure that you all tune into that so that we can show support for our brother, Dr. Larry Pennell. Dr. Pennell, I'm going to do the presentation of Dr. Washington Starks, and Reverend Anders is going to do yours. And so I didn't choose Reverend Starks over you, but I had already spoken at his funeral, and they wanted me to do that. So you will be presented and represented well by the presiding elder. Also, the presiding elder's appreciation will be July the 19th. We're going to do a parking lot service out there at Williams Memorial. I'll talk to you more about that as well. I'll also give you the Zoom information concerning the July 12th Zoom with the Hall of Fame banquet also. July birthdays. Look at all of these July birthdays. LaVon Murray, Terry Murray, Katrina Williams, Ashley Nicholson, Larry Ned, Sharon Ned. I left Katie's name up there. Amen. Joelle Ned, Neoka Strickland, Keisha Savannah, Jerry Thomas, Tommie Lee Daughtery. Tommie Lee, I know how old you are. I know how old you're going to be there, Tommie Lee as well. Tim Thomas, Willie Thomas, Lori, Lona, and Deetra. And I need to make that correction. That's Deetra Smith. She made sure, amen, I changed that, Deetra as well, DDI. Amen. I know you, Deetra Smith, married. Amen. Thank God for that. And also, I want to include in here my mother as well, Willie Mae Hudson. So God bless you. July birthdays, July babies. Also, listen, we are coming on the end. This tomorrow now, again, is the last Sunday of the annual conference year. It is the last conference, last Sunday of the annual conference year. And it will conclude 10 years of service. 10 years of service here at the St. Luke Church. And I have been, I just don't know how to describe how happy, how satisfied I am as the pastor of this church. I tell this story. There were, in 2010, the pastor that was appointed to the church that year told the bishop that it was too far for her to drive. And then the other pastor told the bishop that he wanted to remain at his church and build a church. And both of those people, one of them was one of my very good friends, and the other one, I thank God for her as well. And I'm thanking God right now that those two pastors did not want to come. I believe if they had the choice, anybody had the choice now, they definitely would not turn down the St. Luke Church. And I want to thank each of you for what you have done to make this a strong 10 years of my ministry. I stayed at the New Hope Church for 17 years, and I've always grown attached to people and grown attached to the work. One of the things that pastors are told is don't get too attached to the people in the Methodist context. But I just believe that if you cannot become attached to people and love people, then you cannot effectively pastor them. So that's why I never want to go somewhere, stay a year, and keep moving. I am in this for the long haul and for the long term. And if possible, I'll stay here another 10 years. And I think I have about 17 before I have to officially retire. So that in and of itself would be a blessing. And that's all right with me to be here at the St. Luke Church. Thank you all so much for what you have meant to me over this time from and my family as well. Let's look at this now. Again, as I said, I'm not going to talk long about the lesson because I will cover most of it tomorrow in this sermon. Wisdom is justified of her children. It is the final scripture in this lesson. Wisdom is vindicated of her children. What is Jesus saying in this passage? I'll be preaching from the first part back up around verse 1 and 2, but all of this is where these scriptures deal with Jesus and John the Baptist. And Jesus, on one hand, they found fault in John the Baptist, and then they found fault also in Jesus. Look at what it says. Go down to verse 10. This is the one about whom it is written, I will send my messenger ahead of you, who will prepare your way before you. Truly, I tell you, among those born of women, there is not risen anyone greater than John the Baptist. Yet whoever is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. Now listen to this. From the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven has been subjected to violence, and violent people have been raiding it, attempting to destroy it. For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. And if you are willing to accept it, he is the Elijah who was to come. You remember Elijah went into heaven on a chariot of fire and did not die. But listen to what he says. And so now Elijah has come back in the place of John the Baptist. And then look at verse 16. But what can I compare you to? He's talking to the Pharisees. He's referring to them as hypocrites. Look at how he describes their behavior. He said, you all are like children who sit in the streets, who play in the streets and call out to others. We played for you the pipe, happy music, and you refused to dance. We sang a dirge, the sad song, and you wouldn't cry. John came neither eating nor drinking, and you said he was a demon. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and you say he is a glutton and a wine bibber, a drunkard, and a friend of sinners. What is Jesus saying in this lesson, people? Jesus is saying here simply that there are times, there are situations where you cannot and will not be able to please everybody. And there's some people that no matter what you do, they will not, they refuse to be pleased. So what does Jesus say consequently? He says this, in the end, wisdom is proved right by her deeds. He calls out their hypocrisy. He says, look, when we're happy, you can't be happy with us. When we are sad, you can't even be sad with us. In other words, Jesus is teaching us that in the end, it is wisdom that will prevail, and it is wisdom that God will still honor. In other words, he's saying, you will see it, you will understand it, that your hypocrisy shall not and will not prevail, because I am, John the Baptist was, but I am the way, the truth, and the life. So you had something bad to say about him? You have nothing but bad things to say about me. But in the end, we are who God has called us to be. There's a lesson in that. So tomorrow I'm going to close out the conference year with this sermon taken directly from there. And it says, it raises the question, John sent his disciples wanting to know, hey, wait a minute. Art thou he that should come? John is in prison. John the Baptist is in prison. Or shall we look for another? Yes, I'm going to talk about that on tomorrow. You need to be tuned in at 10:25 and on either one of our channels, on Facebook or on YouTube Live. And I'm going to have a word for us on tomorrow. And we're going to have some great singing, and we will have some good preaching at 10:30 tomorrow morning. Happy 4th of July. God bless you. And once again, thank you for 10 excellent, outstanding years of ministry here at the St. Luke Church. God bless you. And of course, God keep you.